I found a mug that had several quotes written out across the front. The first said, "To be is to do," Socrates. Then under it said, "To do is to be," Jean-Paul Sartre. Then under that it said, "Doobie doobie do," Frank Sinatra. I find that often we as Christians get caught in this limbo between doing and being, and our actions don't necessarily always reflect what we believe. So let's talk a little bit about Christian behavior. As Christians, we are called to honor our bodies as temples as it is written in the scriptures. This means we should be mindful of our bodies and how we treat them. To illustrate this, it means that we should follow a proper diet and, much to many of our dismay, exercise regularly to keep our bodies healthy and in shape. In addition, we must always act responsibly in situations concerning alcohol, tobacco, drugs, and narcotics. And I think for most of these things we can all agree on, but there are some more arbitrary topics that seem to have a lot of gray area. For example, we're taught that we should always surround ourselves with positive, uplifting things that will produce a more Christ-like spirit. But who's to say what are the right things and what are the wrong? I was having trouble with this, so I decided to ask my mom for some help, and she told me about a conversation she had with her aunt when she was younger. Back then, much like today, when the Sabbath rolled around, you got put under all kinds of extra restrictions. For example, you couldn't go shopping, you couldn't go out to eat, you couldn't play any kinds of sports, you could wade in the water but you couldn't swim, and you most definitely could not water ski. Now this sucked for my mom because she loved to water ski. So when she asked why she couldn't water ski, her aunt explained to her that it's all about the mindset. She said, "Kathleen, think about where your head's at when you're back there behind the boat on the water skis. Your head's all about the adrenaline and the rush and the feeling of flying and the wind and sea breeze in your face. Now think about where your head's at when you're sitting in the boat. You're surrounded by God's creation and the quiet, tranquil air around you. You're focusing on what's really around you." Now, although my mom doesn't necessarily always agree with her aunt on these topics, she did admit that she had a very fair point in this conversation. It's all about the mindset. I know we as Christians will always have differing views on certain things, and we might not always agree where these lines start and stop, but I think it's important that as long as we surround ourselves with positive, uplifting things we feel will bring us a closer relationship with God, then we can all be better for it. And that, I think, is the best Christian behavior.